Hello. So what I'd like to do today is to go ahead and cover which Japanese-based N64 games are a better value than their US-based counterparts. So what I'm talking about here are games that were released in both countries, but the Japanese version is friendly to English speakers and is a significantly lower cost than its US-based counterpart. So honestly, I don't really own any Japanese exclusives, but I own a whole bunch of Japanese version N64 games that were significantly cheaper than their US-based counterparts. The trick is, of course, finding out which ones aren't going to require you to learn several years of Japanese in order to have some rudimentary understanding of what's going on. So there are some titles that really, they're either minimal workaround or virtually no workaround. So what I'm going to do is to go ahead and cover what, in my opinion, are the best titles in my collection for English speakers. Now, the first three I'm starting off with, in my opinion, I'll be honest with you, I see no reason whatsoever to buy the US version of these games because, in my opinion, they're that friendly to English speakers. So the first one I'm going to start out with is FZero X. Okay, FZero X, basically the whole menu, the navigation, the announcer on the game, everything is pretty much in English. As a matter of fact, about the only thing I can think of that was Japanese was that when the list of winners comes up, you'll see the picture of the character, and then the name displays in Japanese. That's literally it. I mean, you can navigate the menu in English with no problems. And point of fact, I had my 10-year-old and 8-year-old boys play this game together, and it wasn't until the fourth round, or the fourth game, that they were playing this, and I pointed out to them it was the Japanese version, and they were shocked because they didn't notice the difference when they were going in there and playing it. So, the US version of this game is going to run you on eBay generally between $40 and $45 shipped for an authentic loose cartridge. The Japanese version will run you right around $20 shipped. Okay, so pretty good value for the money there because it's about half the price of the US counterpart. The next one, in my opinion, this one's probably the biggest one. This guy is the Japanese version of Super Smash Brothers. Super Smash Brothers, generally speaking, and depending on condition, the US version is going to run you between about $40 and $50 shipped. By the time you include taxes, fees, and everything else for the US version. This guy you can pick up for between $15 and $20. And what's going to happen is that when you go in there, what they did was they took the North American version of the game and then gave it Japanese subtitles at the bottom. So the actual main menu is in English. The only concessions that I found were the tutorial at the very beginning. That will be in Japanese. However, it's going to show you, which button and which, position you push on the joystick and all that stuff. So you could just follow along with what it's showing you there for the button, joystick, and whatever, and just see what it does. And then, it's kind of irrelevant with what it's telling you to do there. And if you played the game before, I mean, the tutorial is kind of irrelevant anyways. The other thing is that the character bios are going to be in Japanese. But once again, you can easily look that up on the internet if you so desire. And as I said, this thing's between $15 and $20 versus $40 to $50. Pretty significant savings there. The next one would be Mario Kart 64. This one, once again, the menu's basically all in English. I think it'll mention, in the list of winners, it'll show the picture of the character and then the name will display in Japanese after you win a race or something like that. But that's really about it. Beyond that, basically, it's completely in English. You're not going to run into any issues playing the game with the Japanese version. My kids, once again, played this game just fine, had no issues navigating the menu, playing the game, or anything. And Once again, nobody in my house speaks a word of Japanese. So, anyways, so that would be, those three would probably be my top recommendations, where I would say, you know what, there's literally no reason to go ahead and blow all that extra money on the US version of the game. Now, the next couple of games, admittedly, the menu is in Japanese, but there's basically no text in the actual gameplay itself. So, if you can find a way to work around and to, trial and error, or just doing some research on the English-based counterpart, you can save yourself a ton of money by going with these. The first one I'm going to go with is Kirby 64. Okay, the Crystal Shards. The US version of this game, I've seen it go anywhere from like $45 to $65, depending on the condition of the game. No joke, I got this guy for less than $13. As is. Okay, so there's a pretty significant savings with this game. Now, the trick is, of course, you are going to have to learn how to, navigate the menu. What happened was my kids, who had become familiar with a reproduction version that was US, were able to figure it out based on the picture icons as far as, what you navigate to. So, like for example, if you go into the game save section and you see the one that shows the bomb, that's the one that you do to delete the game save. If you see the pencil down at the bottom there, you're looking at one of the mini games that's in the menu. So anyways, this is a one that I would still recommend, because the intro to this game basically has no text. The game itself, really, once you get into it, has really no text in it whatsoever. So, in my opinion, if you're willing to do a little research and play around a little bit with the menu, once again, that's a huge difference in savings. $13 versus, $45 to $65. Yeah, I'll play around with the menu for that price difference. The next one is actually kind of a strange one. I didn't even know they released this title in Japan for a long time. Snowboard Kids 2. This is the Japanese version of it, okay? Yes, you notice that the logo is totally different there. Yes, it is green and yellow instead of the standard, red, white, and blue colors that you see on the Snowboard Kids and Snowboard Kids 2 in the US version. Now, this one is a bit more tricky because it does have a story mode, so you would have to do some research on that. And once again, the menu is in Japanese. But once you get into the gameplay itself, basically, it's pretty simple to go in there and navigate around, and you won't really have any problems with it because there's really no text within the gameplay itself. So, now the US version of this, as you know, this thing's, become a fairly hot commodity for Snowboard Kids 2. It has, I think I saw a beat-up copy go a few weeks ago for like $75 to $80 on eBay, and that was like the cheapest one I could find. A lot of them are in the, $90 to $100 range by the time you factor in shipping and taxes. So this one I picked up for $35 shipped. There are not a ton of them out there from US eBay sellers or Japanese sellers, because the games from Atlas, it doesn't matter which language they were released in, there are not a lot of these out there in any language. So once again, there's also a little bit of a collector advantage here, because the Japanese version is likely to take off in price here, I would say in the next 5 to 10 years. So I would grab it now if you have any interest in the game. One other thing to note, in Japan, the translation comes out as Snowboard Kids. So sometimes if you're looking on eBay and you look for Snowboard Kids 2, sometimes these will come up, but you won't find all of them and some of the best deals. So if you're looking for the best deals, look for Snowboard Kids. That's how I found this guy. And it's actually officially, it's like CHU, Chew, or something like that, Snowboard Kids, which translates to Super Snowboard Kids, or Snowboard Kids 2 as it's known here in the US. But anyways, this guy as well, I would say, is a great one to have. And I found other examples of it out there, the Japanese version, for between about $40 and $45. So once again, you're talking about half the price there, the US version. Really good option because it allows you to still get an authentic game, that had to go through that rigorous testing to make sure it works, and they're durable. Obviously, they've lasted. So it's a great alternative for those of you who are looking for ways to cut costs while still collecting and still having the real deal. So these are some great options there. One other honorable mention, I don't have it in my collection, but I've done a fair bit of research on it, and that would be the Super Mario 64 Rumble Edition. Now, Super Mario 64 Rumble Edition, basically, it's as it implies, it's Super Mario 64. Basically, it has all the same features as the US version, plus I think a couple of little cool Easter eggs that they put in there. But it has Rumble Pack support. Now, I don't have it because I actually was able to source a US version Super Mario 64 for less than $30 in pretty good condition. And the Rumble Edition is going to set you back probably between, I don't know, I want to say about $19 and $20 at the cheapest. And it's probably, most versions you're going to find are going to be in about the $20 to $22 range. So there's not a huge savings there, but if you're really dead set on having the Rumble version, it's also a game that's fairly friendly to English speakers. So that would be another one that I would say, if you want that Rumble feature and haven't bought Mario 64 yet, it would be a good route to go. And that's all I've got, and thanks for watching.